It's horrible. I played the game with Japanese voice acting, and the guttural screams. I'm pretty sure, like, every single VA, whenever any of the characters have, like, a visceral scream, I feel it every time.
Yeah.
Oh my god, they go for it. It's like, very good, very harrowing.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tell Me About, the show where I have questions, and thankfully, I know the people with answers. Today's episode is, not just for me, but it's for y'all as well. Because I know after we went through Silent Hill F, a lot of people were like, Jesse, you gonna play through every single ending? And I was like, maybe. But then I had a thought. I know someone who already has, who will tell me all I need to know, who will be a hero for me and all of you. Welcome back, Ashley Roboto. Let's do this.
Hi, I have played through the game multiple times now.
I figured you were the person. I was like, if I can think of one person who has probably deep dived in a way that I will not, you are that person, and I'm really excited to talk to you about this. So, hey, spoilers for the game. For everyone watching, spoilers. Get ready. It'll be a thing.
Oh yeah, I'm going to explain all of the endings in the game.
This is what I'm here for, because I know there are many. But I figured before we start, we should kind of explain the tale of what Silent Hill F is about, because it's one of those stories that I'm still not sure I completely understand. I think I get the metaphor, the idea of what this game is trying to espouse to us, which is like, at this time in Japan, there was a lot of different, like, should I go this way as a person or this way as a person? And what does it mean to be a woman in this society and that kind of things? And the concept of marriage and being forced to do so. And is it still respectable to, love and celebrate your husband when he's a piece of shit? Like that kind of stuff. There's a lot of that going on here. But then there's also drug abuse, a weird cult, a fox man, an alt reality, the different symbolism of there's so much happening in this game. And then when you beat it the first go around, it hits you with that, oh no, you've actually been playing Nier Automata the entire time.
Yes.
And if you want the real story, you must beat it multiple times. So the minute that hit me, I was like, I love everyone, but I can't get the other Scary Game Squad guys back in the room to play through this again. So I gotta grab the person who knows, and that is, thankfully, why we are here today.
It took me a long time to get through all of the playthroughs. And there's actually, I watched one of the endings on YouTube instead of doing the playthrough because it's both a New Game Plus playthrough. Don't be mad at me. There's literally no difference between playing through the game again, really. In a new game fashion, don't yell at me. But I still only just finished the true ending as of this recording, like yesterday. So it's fresh in my brain, and I have notes.
Premise-wise, I feel like, based on what I had said, is anything wrong there? Is there anything I'm missing? Because it feels like I'm missing things. I didn't even mention the doll, for example. There's so many layers to this that I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, so you've only done the first playthrough, which unfortunately, I think fully, and I know that this, isn't for some people, and I get that, but I think your playthrough isn't done until you're done a New Game Plus run. Because the game itself, dialogue, cutscenes, a lot of things change in New Game Plus, and it's very interesting. You were right with a lot of the things you listed. Some things are more tertiary to just support something else. So basically, the only thing you're missing is gods. Old gods.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a whole thing. I am aware that they had mentioned early in the game that in the town there was, all the different kami that were around. But more importantly, they mentioned there was natural gases leaking from a volcano, and there's certainly more going on than what we're told. And that I got. It just felt like we got thrown all these ideas, and then none of them were actually important in that first run. So I know they must be important in some way. So when you say old gods, are we talking like Cthulhu, or are we talking like something completely different?
It's definitely more so like old Japanese gods. There's namely 2 of them, is the main thing. So basically, like a lot of the things that are happening in town, like the geysers and natural gases and stuff that are poisoning people, have to do with one of those old gods. So like you pick up little things here and there that's basically describing how there was this old ancient tree that was like struck by lightning.
Right.
And died, right? Like it's basically like it's massive.
Now, is that the tree that they have the sword? Like there was some ancient super sword that was under the tree they buried there?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes, indeed. 1, 2, skip a few. I'm sorry. There's a lot of lore in this game, but eventually they start worshipping a fox god called Inari-sama. So they put little shrines to Inari-sama all over town, so it's more accessible to people who can't like walk all the way to the tree. The tree is like in disrepair, and so basically now Inari-sama is a god of the town.
So the tree god is a different god compared to the fox god.
Yes.
And they kind of ditched the tree god because it was just too far to walk and started worshiping the fox god. And so all over town, I think one of the interesting things is that first playthrough, I just assumed it was kind of all fox god across the board.
Yes.
And that's kind of what they hinted at. Yeah.
Yeah.
In that first playthrough, you have this fox guy and he's kind of like, hey, come with me, I'll show you stuff. And one of the guys I was playing with, his whole thing was like, I trust this guy because I think he was talking about Inuyasha, and he had like already preconceived notions of what this dude's deal was. And I think that translates well into what you were saying, which is like the way the townsfolk perceive him and that kind of stuff.
Very interesting, yeah. So you have a pretty good grasp of what the first playthrough is telling you, ish.
Yeah, the one point that we had at the end was when it's revealed after you escape fighting the older, taller, faceless you, which is very, Silent Hill coded. The whole idea of, tackling all the stuff going on with your character's problems and things like that. And then at the end, it's revealed that there was multiple people killed at a wedding. A bunch of people died. Like,
there was so someone, Hinako, went on a little rampage, a drug-fueled rampage.
Which those drugs were given to you by Shu, who was like, here, take these pills. And I think at the very beginning of the game, he gives you that box with a pill inside of it that sends you down that rabbit hole. And so the big discussion we had at the end was, with the fact that there's other endings, with the fact that there are other things going on, does this mean that the murders didn't happen and there's a way not to happen? Or, like I believe, it's Silent Hill, you definitely killed people. The rest is coming to terms with the fact that you killed them. And I just don't know. I don't think any of us know, which is why we're like, all right, it's, so hopefully I'm getting some answers from you.
Yes, I have the answers for you.
Great.
So basically, every single ending of the game takes place at Hinako's wedding.
Gotcha.
It's very philosophical in her head kind of thing, but every ending has one line or 2 lines that are doesn't matter what you as the player see, there is something, they themselves see something else, something else is happening.
Oh, and I think we should say, at least in the first playthrough, and the general idea is she isn't down for the whole life of a wife.
No.
That's not who she is.
Oh God, no.
She doesn't like that, but here she is still there. And I'm going to make the assumption, even though it wasn't delved into deeply, that the little boy from the playground in the flashbacks is the boy she ends up marrying.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, first playthrough, lots of pills. In order to get any of the other endings, you cannot take a single pill in your playthrough.
All right. And that's across the board. Any other ending, no pills.
Yeah. I'll go through some little lore and basically the endings in which I got them. At the end of the first playthrough, the fox god gives you a little brooch, and that brooch lets you into his rooms, doors that have his insignia on them, right? So you keep that in your next playthroughs. Every time you are transported into the spirit realm, the fox god's area, you have the opportunity to go into an extra area or room. Like you go into one room and you'll see the mask, like the fox mask and like the arm before you have that, ritual.
Yeah, a really rough day. Yeah.
Really bad day. There's always like little things, but I think the most interesting thing, which will be, at least you remember what we talked about last time, a little less interesting to you. There are a lot of ties, and a lot of people are like, this isn't a Silent Hill game. There are a lot of ties to Silent Hill 1 in this game. And it's very specifically the drugs that Hinako takes is the same as White Claudia from Silent Hill 1, the drug that they're trafficking in town.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There's also, when you have that brooch, there is an area you can go into in the Fox God's realm that you have to solve a puzzle. There's a bunch of water in the area and it all turns red. And you go and you basically get a little like bottle and it's called, Agura no Hotai-sama?
Nailed it.
Yeah, but it's basically, it's a Glophodus from Silent Hill 1, like the exorcismal juice. Actually getting that is one of the requirements for the first ending that I got. So when you beat the game the first time, you have like the main menu gives you like the ending list of like, it doesn't tell you what it is, it just tells you what you need to do, which I think is very helpful. Oh my God. So you have the opportunity to get the exorcismal juice and also the sword, the fancy sword. A lot of the things in the game tie to one of the two gods. And I'm trying to keep it vague until we get to the good ending, because it's kind of, or not the true ending, because it like really like is very heavy-handed of like, this is what's happening this whole time. Basically, first ending, you kill off your friends and your older self like kills off like your younger self. You like kill your parents, which is all symbolic for her like moving on and like leaving her old life behind. You also, you find out that like everyone in town knows that she has been betrothed.
Yes. Which is that the reason why your friends are like, you traitor?
Yes. Yeah, everyone knows. And I think the main thing you kind of find out at the end of the first playthrough, I'm trying to remember when you find it out, but you basically, Hinako was sold.
Oh, that's right. You're correct. You discover that her father had debts and that she was essentially sold off to a rich guy who would fix all the problems. But that same rich guy is the kid from the playground scene where she's like trying to take care of him and then they move away. But also, oh my God, also, when you're in that one sort of fox world thing, you find letters that are like, the people in this house had a weird fox disease. I forgot about that too. There is so much going on in this game.
So there's so much going on, and it's like I feel like it's so much to try to explain, but it makes sense. But it's like, I'm trying to tell it in a way where it doesn't like lose oomph, because it's told in a really interesting way that you like slowly learn little bits, right? So basically you find out kind of near the end of the game, right, that the name of like her husband is Kodayuki. So that kid is like the bastard child that was talked about in all those letters. So like his whole family dies, except for his grandfather of like the weird disease. They all like drop dead basically in a matter of days. And so that's very important.
I definitely figured it was, but they don't. Yeah. Again, when you beat it the first time, it just ends. It's like you beat up the you without a face, you run away, you open a door, and then police lights and voiceover and credits. And you're like, oh, okay.
It's jarring, the first ending. Yeah. First ending, it's like really horrific. It was the first ending I got, so it's the most foggy for me. But she literally is like, she gets absolutely bodied and like gets up and is like zombieing and then dies and is gone. And so then the only thing that's left is the Hinako with the fox arm and the mask, which is basically, you'll realize that those are like the two halves of her, like the one that's accepting of society wanting her to change and get married and everything, and then the side that fully isn't. So they're like absolutely not and absolutely yes. And the ending where absolutely yes wins, like Shu crashes your wedding, hits like your fiance husband over like the back of the head with like a bat. He shows up with a baseball bat. It's crazy. He like comes in swinging. Then you defend your husband because you are in bride mode. I'm gonna be honest, the first time I did watch this, I didn't get this part. I literally just did more recently of you actually exorcise one of the gods from you. And it goes into Shu, and you fight that god with Shu trapped in it, and it's very cool. It's like got a big hollowed out tree with like a hole in it, and you just see Shu in there stuck fighting you. The designs for the bosses in this game are beautiful. I really think they're very cool.
Yes, they are great.
But basically, yeah, you fight Shu. He's being like a freak. He's loved you and knows that you don't want to do this, whatever. And then you basically convince him that this is actually what you want. And then he kind of relents and like apologizes. And it is one of the weirdest endings to a game I've ever experienced, where you're like in the boss arena still, but you have Shu and you have your husband. And they start talking and bonding, but at first she was like, well, she's mine. Like, I know, like, what's best for her. I can protect her. She's mine. And she's, like, there, and she's like, please don't talk about me like I'm an object or like a pet.
Right.
And they do not listen. They don't hear her. And so she, like, is, like, very meek and asks them not to. And then she is completely not paid attention to. And they're, like, basically bond that they're, like, we're the only two people in the world that know Hinako well, and then they fist bump.
What?
Yeah.
I
literally laughed.
I understand conceptually what they're doing, because that whole, as we talked about, the mask and the arm and the back, all of that is one of those, like, you're giving up bits of yourself to become something for this man. Like, that's what it's saying. But in this scenario, it is the completion of she killed the free part of her, the wild, youthful part, became this submissive wife, much like her mother, and then it's really hammered home, apparently, when the two men in the room do not listen, and then fist bump, which is hilarious.
Very funny.
But my question then is when that happens, is there anything after that, or that's it?
Yes, there is, and it is horrifying. So the mid-credit scene is Hinako and Kodayuki standing at the top of the steps of, like, their house or something. Mm-hmm. And Kodayuki's like, yeah, let's go inside, and, like, leads her inside. She's still dressed up in, like, her, like, bride gear. And then you hear, like, screaming. The camera pans down steps, and there's, like, blood on the steps and, like, some viscera and stuff. And then on the very bottom of the steps is her face on the ground, screaming and protesting that she doesn't want to be like this. She doesn't want to be like her mother. She doesn't want this. She doesn't want this. And then it, like, gets run over by, like, a car or something.
Damn.
And that's the end. I'm, like, getting, like, goosebumps for it, because I watched it and I'm like, oh, I messed up so bad. It's horrible. I played the game with Japanese voice acting, and the guttural screams I'm pretty sure, like, every single VA, whenever any of the characters have, like, a visceral scream, I feel it every time.
Yeah.
Oh my god, they go for it. It's like, oh, very good, very harrowing. But that ending sucked really bad. So I'm like, okay, bad end. We don't want that. That's terrible. Mm-hmm. Oh my god. So after that, I'm like, okay, it takes me however long to play through this. I can't go through another one and then the true ending. I, like, don't have time.
Sure.
So I'm like, okay, well, that was horrible. Let's watch the other ending, and maybe it's better and it will make me feel better. And, oh, I'm so sorry. I missed a very key thing from the first ending. Shu admits that he's been drugging you this whole time, trying to help you, but also trying to actually drug you so you don't go through with this wedding, because he knows what's best for you. He, like, fully admits to, like, yeah, I prescribed these to you to help you, but also to, like, try to get you to, like, not do this. Like, very controlling. I know it's best for you. I'm not going to tell you the whole truth of everything. Not great. Sorry. That's one thing. But, yeah. So next ending, Shu shows up with Bat, beats your fiance, and he basically, like, they run away together platonically, not, like, in a romantic kind of way. And I think pretty much every ending is, like, Shu getting hella friend-zoned. But he's, like, okay with it. And that's great. Sure.
I figured that the idea of, oh my god, is it Rinko? Rinko? The other girl?
The friend who's very jealous?
Yeah, my assumption of that triangle was that he was into you weren't into him, but because he couldn't let you go, when she's trying to get in there, she's like, I love this dude, and he won't give me the time of day because he's obsessed with you, so I hate you because you're ruining this for me because he cannot let you go.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but I know I said I've talked about Friends, but I feel like going through both these New Game Plus endings is a good jump off point. So yeah, she shows up to take you away, but the Fox God won't let you go. And so basically you're like, Kodayuki's possessed by the Fox God. He is the Fox God. And so you have to fight the Fox God this time. So you fight the Fox God. He's very cool design. And that ending is very interesting because you kill him. As you go through, he talks about how, like, he did so much. He, like, abided by human conventions of, like, courting, even though, like, nobody else, like, none of the, like, he's never done it before. None of the other foxes have done that before. They've always, like, gotten their brides through, like, trickery or, like, cunning or whatever and fooled them into it. But he, like, tried to do this because it's, like, you find letters from Kodayuki that they were sending each other. Like, that's how they got to, like, know each other. Because, like, there was a year span between being sold into marriage and then getting married, and they like would exchange letters. And so they kind of like talk it out, kind of miss it, like an understanding, but she's already beaten the hell out of him and he's like dying, tells them to go. And so her and she run off, and they're still like visually like young teenagers running off. But as they're running off, he looks at her and says like she looks weird in that outfit. And then she's like, yeah, well, you look really weird in a tux, which is not what he's wearing, which is one of those like, oh, she's like in her wedding garb. He is in a tux because he's going to her wedding. Like, this is what's actually happening, even though like it's not what we see. All of these endings are there.
Oh, this also, well, damn, this is, again, a friend thing, but it explains why when you fight bosses that are representative of your friends, they're all adults as well. So while visually we and, gameplay-wise are seeing teens, a lot of the story is still happening when they're adults, but we're experiencing it as like, oh, this is who they were. And so that's why some bosses are clearly like, oh no, there's something going on here where we exist in it. What we're seeing is not the reality of what's actually happening.
Yes.
Okay.
So like, it's basically everything is like, from Hinako as like, I feel like for some reason, general consensus, my brain also thought like she was like 20 years old. And I saw like other people talking and also said she was 20. I'm like, did we see that anywhere? I don't know. She could be, I'm going to say between 18 and 20, she's an adult woman getting married. I would say maybe 19, whatever. A big thing with like the White Claudia and like the drugs is like going and talking to like your inner self.
There's a moment where you're in your own room and you have a conversation with yourself. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, that happens in every playthrough, right? And it's like a lot of like inner self stuff.
Oh, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
The endings.
Yes.
Is it, just to answer a question that I have, is it still implied that she did in fact kill people, or is each ending its own thing?
Each ending is its own course of events.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's not like this is definitely more like one instead of it being like two.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So I was totally wrong. It is, in fact, way more than just it has already happened and this is you dealing with it. This is like, it is happening while you're doing it, and what you're seeing is a lie. Like, we are being fed, like, unreliable narrator stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
So, like, to me, it's almost like, in a weird way, you're almost like playing through the events of the year leading up to your wedding in like little like chunky sections. Like in the beginning of all the playthroughs, especially like New Game Plus, it's Hinako like getting into an argument with her parents about this thing and leaving the house.
Gotcha. So that's what the argument was. Understood. Okay. That makes perfect sense now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I haven't seen anyone else talk about it because I haven't really looked at much stuff, but it's almost like what it feels like, because that happens. You're going through town and you hear people whispering about like, oh, wow, she's so lucky that she's like, blah, blah, blah. She's going to marry this guy. He's so rich, blah, blah, blah. I can't believe he would pick someone like her who's like from such a poor family, like that kind of stuff. And then when you first see Shu, he's weird, and it seems like it's like something has just happened that neither of them want to talk about. And
yes.
He's kind of like, do you want to talk about what just happened?
Yes. And my assumption was that there was something unspoken between them, and we had this whole like, did they kiss? Like what? Like, is this the first time that they interact? But now that I understand, oh, he now knows she is getting married, and it's not to him, and that's also probably why the other girls show up. Like, yo, what's going on? Awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
it's all coming together for me. All right.
We're going back to the gods now real quick. That's when we get to like the more true ending stuff where...
I'm so ready. I'm very excited.
Yeah. So in each of the endings, one of them has won, right? So you kind of piece together that the two halves of, like, they're both fighting for Hinako. The one is like the tree god, serpent, whatever, on one end, not wanting her to marry the fox god, and the other is the fox god wanting her to get married. So in the ending of like the good ending when she runs off, there's a piece that I left out because you get a little radio thing where the doll that you keep seeing throughout the game,
I was gonna
and the one that says, "Don't get married, don't trust the fox god, don't do this, you have to run away," and it's the doll that Junko, her older sister, gave her when she was younger, right? So you think it has something to do with Junko. Junko is like trying to warn her. She like didn't like want to get married or whatever, and this is like like the last piece of her, whatever.
But it's also weird that her sister in the base game and probably in the next New Game Pluses is there with the weird bird mask being like, yo, let's get married, baby, which is exactly the opposite of what the doll has been telling you the entire time.
When I was going through it the first time, I thought that Junko was like, after she got married, like she didn't have the younger part of her because she had killed it off. But the doll was like what was left of the younger version of her. Not true. It was always the tree god that was like possessing that doll basically and like be like in Hinako's subconscious through that. So in the end of the like good ending, when she like runs off with Shu, the post credits scene is a radio basically saying that all the geysers in town are going off, blowing up, blowing these toxic chemicals into the air. Basically, the town is screwed because the only thing that was keeping the town in check was gone, right? And so, like, the Inari-sama, who was said to have, like, been keeping this serpent at bay, he died, right? When, like, she fought him, and because he wasn't there to stop it anymore, then the serpent god basically do whatever he wants. It's an interesting vibe. There's like a lot of stuff that changes in Hinako's house in the true ending.
To just confirm a thing as well, when it comes to things changing, the stair scene where you are pushed, air quotes, down the stairs, in subsequent playthroughs, at least from what I've seen online, there's like some of the goopy plant stuff is in that, and it maybe you weren't pushed, maybe you fell. Like it leaves it a little vague the more you play through it.
Yeah, so I did notice that was a thing. It's very, like, Ringo still, like, reacts the same. Yeah, everything is, like, largely the same after, like, all of the, like, you find out just more lore about the gods, and that's, like, when you really start to realize that that's what's kind of going on. And one of the things that you can find in New Game Plus Run near the end is after, like, around the area where you see, like, the memory of Kodayuki being attacked by that fox, and Hinako, like, saving the fox, and saving him and helping him out. There's a note from that doctor that's like, hey, like, I was, like, treating this kid, and he woke up. He's like, Kodayuki? And he responded, oh, is that my name? And, like, a weird, like, why'd you say it like that? why'd you say it like that?
So he technically has been the fox god the entire time.
Yeah, so it seems like either, like, that is when, like, the fox had, like, found him, maybe, because he's a bastard child of this family, and there was no other heirs, so he, like, maybe went out looking for him or whatever. And so then even the doctor is like, hey, I know that this is, like, a folktale, but from, like, everything that I have read and heard about, like, fox possession, that is what this felt like. It's like, I'm a doctor. I normally wouldn't believe something like that, but it was weird. Something is wrong with that kid. Like, so... It's basically, like, from that moment, Kodayuki was robbed of, like, his childhood. You get to the house. There's, like, a version of it that's different than every other playthrough. Like, once you get to the house, you are locked in to the ending. And to lock into the true ending, you just have to purify the sword. And, yeah, no pills. And you also, there is a final shrine where you actually give the brooch to it, the fox brooch. And so then it's like, I'm good. I don't need this anymore. And so then you get into the house, and then the layout's different a little bit. Like, there's one version of it that's a little odd. Like, you know, like the little bird room that goes into stuff that's about Hinako?
Yes.
It's in a completely different spot. It's where her parents' room was. So you eventually get the key, go in there, and your mom is sitting on the ground. And she's like, come and sit with me. I want to kind of like debunk some of your assumptions about marriage and about like my marriage and whatever. And so you sit with your mom, and she just goes to tell you that she knows that their dad is loud and like, you know, he's abusive to like his daughters and stuff. And it was just like, I just want you to know, like, he's not like that when you guys aren't around. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like Hinako's like terrified of like being like beaten to a pulp by her husband, you know, like her husband being horrible to her. And her mom's like, he's not like that to me. Like, he doesn't know any other way to like be a father. And like he has this anger from like this life event, because you find out that like all of the debt that he has, I think Hinako literally calls it like gambling debt.
Right, yeah.
But it's actually from he and his friend that he met when he was fishing decided to open a restaurant together. So they pooled their money together to open this restaurant. So his best friend took all of the money and left. And left her dad with all of the debt for it. So there's that. You have a dialogue with your sister. So it's basically them talking about like their ideas of happiness, and how Junko's like, this is happiness. You like have everything like taken care of. You don't have to worry. And Hinako's like, no, that's not what happiness is. And Junko like explains that like their parents used a matchmaking service to find like the best suitor for her, and that's who she went with. And it's like, it's all right if you don't love them, as long as you like get along and like you were taken care of, you can have a good life and be happy. And Hinako is on the other side of it, being like, that's not what happiness is to me. Happiness to me is being able to choose what I want, and even if I suffer, as long as I've made the decision to be where I am, that's what happiness means to me. It's like, as long as she gets to decide her own path and do what she wants to do, that is happiness to her. And so they're basically like talking a bit about that and how they like won't understand the other's like point of view. But then Junko says like, one day, like maybe in 100 years, maybe a lot sooner, like we'll live in a world where we're able to do that. I can't live in that world, but maybe you can. And it made me bawl my eyes out, because it's basically her older sister being like, yeah, that would really be nice. It's too late for me. Maybe it would be nice for you. Because you also find out that Junko has at least one kid, because Hinako talks about visiting her while she was pregnant in the hospital, because she had like extreme morning sickness to like point. She like had withered a lot and was like had dark circles in her eyes and was very visibly ill and could barely talk ever. And it's like, that's like trauma, like pregnancy trauma for Hinako. She's like, I don't want this.
Right.
Like, I don't want this to happen to me.
So in the beginning, when we have that scene where it's either flashback or it's one of those that happened the same day that she was told she was married. I'm not sure, or she was going to get married. I'm not sure which. But the assumption is that the sister goes off to be a shrine maiden, but that's not what happens.
No, she was going off to get married. And that's actually one of the dialogues that changes in New Game Plus. So I forget what the dialogue is in base game, but the dialogue in all the New Game Plus runs is Hinako talking to herself through the doll and talking to the doll, basically being like, oh, like, it's a woman's job to, like, get married and be a dutiful wife, but that doesn't sound very fun. Me. And then Junko's there. It's like, is that what you think marriage is? Like, that marriage isn't, like, the job. That's not what that is. And it's just, like, them starting to have, like, that dialogue kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, I don't know when exactly that takes place. I'm assuming it's, like, before or whatever. It's like, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, well, mom and dad don't seem to be really happy in it. Like, whatever, right? There's, like, a scene of you, but not you. You watch yourself talk to your dad. Like, your dad comes in. And it's like that, like, kind of, they're, like, shadowy kind of at first. And then they become more, like, there the longer you're in the conversation, kind of. But it's basically the father coming in and he's like apologizing to Hinako, and Hinako's like, I don't want to hear it. And he's like, you don't have to forgive me, I just want to apologize. And so the rest of things kind of play out the same until you get to the part where like your big self grabs your little self, and then Junko like comes around the corner and basically tells your big self to kill you finally.
Okay.
She doesn't this
so that
time.
Scene in the first playthrough where you get grabbed and then snapped, and then you wake up in the Fox world, and that was like all premeditated. That's one of those like kill your past kind of scenes. Okay.
Very much so. Yeah, like kill your younger self. You're not her anymore. let her go.
Real quick, does this, there's a scene where, and I think it might be before this, but after you go through the home, where your parents are outside, and it's the big version of you, and your mom is all smiles, and it's like, I'm so happy, and the dad is like, you can never come home again. Don't even come here. And he's like crying, and then it picks up and just murders them. Does that have any payoff in these? Like, what is the reason he's like, you could never come home again?
I feel like the reason he's like crying is because of that conversation they had of like him, like, because he was crying in that, and I think it's just like an emotional thing for him. It doesn't change ever.
Okay.
And I think it's just one of those like, I think it's just one of those things like she's gone now and he screwed up so bad.
Right. All right.
I understand him more as a character, not like it was right, anything that happened.
It's kind of how I feel about, oh boy, I hope I don't mess up his name. David in Life is Strange. I think that's the guy. Where like the father figure, he sucks. He's not a good father figure, but he's like actively trying to watch out for the kids. So there's a potential for him to help in the end. And it's like, okay, no, he still sucks, but like he also has a shotgun. So like,
it's very similar where like, I don't feel any remorse for him, but I understand it. So you end up going to your wedding. There's the regular Shimizu Hinako and then Hinako with the fox arm. And the two of them are basically like, hey, why do we have to like fight? Like, why does one of us have to die in order for the other one to get out of here? Like, why do we have to like hurt each other? Why does one of us have to bleed? We shouldn't need to fight, like we can coexist kind of thing, right? Because it's like the two halves of herself fighting. And then when they're kind of like, yeah, all right, the fox arm like goes up and like Hinako looks really surprised and it starts to like go after the other one. And then Shimizu and Hinako's like arms go up and they start to like strangle each other and they're like trying to get themselves to stop. And then it like pans up and it's the two gods that you fought in the other endings fighting each other because each of them has possessed her or are fighting over her, right? So they each are like wanting a different destiny for her and are like basically control like each half of her. And then Koriyuki, Foxmask, shows up and he's like, what is happening right now? And then he like looks up because he can see them and like does his little like purification thing where he has some kind of powers or whatever and he like stops it. But then he gets like thrown back and then the fox god is like there talking to Hinako, but also talking through Koriyuki, who's like he's not in there right now. His eyes are open and they're like glowing like bright blue and he's like talking to Hinako and so is this big creepy fox thing. Fox arm Hinako is like over top of Koriyuki because that's like bride mode Hinako. And she's like trying to wake him up and trying to get him to wake up and is like yelling at the fox god and then he starts laughing and then she like screams at him to like not laugh. She's very protective of him. And so like she gets up and then she's ready to like beat ass. So then you end up in like the final like boss arena and you start fighting the fox thing and like you get like some hits in or whatever. And then it like a cutscene kind of plays and it pans out. You see the other version of Hinako underneath and it like switches and goes like and dips down through the water and it like switches up through and then you fight the other boss, the tree god, as regular Hinako. And so it just basically flips back and forth a couple times. It's one of the coolest boss fights. I was like, oh my god, this is sick. So yeah, they both end up fighting like their respective, like who's trying to like puppet them to be able to make their own choices and stuff. And then after that happens, Koriyuki's like awake because you like basically exorcised the fox god from him. So he's like himself again, fully. Like I think he had like some moments of clarity. Like he wasn't like fully controlled because he was very like caring and he like wrote letters and stuff and he's like I'm glad that I know that what you want because what you want is what I want. She wants to make her own decisions, he wants to make his own decisions, and it's basically in that ending he's like, I want to know if like the love I feel for you is because of like a ritual like that love spell or not. So it basically is like implied that they were both screwed over. And maybe like Koriyuki was the one who the love spell was put on to force him to go after her.
Okay.
And so
it's very Yennefer Geralt coded. Of like, how do we know we're in love if it's a spell that was cast?
He also like comes in apologizing. He's like, yeah, he had like too much to drink. It's like his like like implying that's like is one of his family members who was like the fox god or whatever. So I'm like, oh, was this like an actual like rambunctious little thing that happened? And like it's like, once again, like they're at their wedding and something has happened. But outside, it's still the two versions of Hinako are there. And like they talk a bit And then he like hugs both of them. They do a little group hug. It's kind of like symbolic of him accepting that all parts of her, like she doesn't have to get rid of one or the other. There's an ending where it's basically just the two versions of Hinako hanging out in her own silent, like quiet Ebisugaka, or quiet mountain, Silent Hill. She's like, it's so quiet. It's like, oh wow, is it? It was very sweet, and it made me cry, because it's basically like the two versions of her is like, what do you want to do? It's like, well, like Cody was like so passionate or whatever. I want to like live with like such passion. I want to be passionate about things, like, and then maybe one day like I'll propose to him, and that's like her like bride mode self. And then it's like, what do you want to do? It's like, well, I don't really know what I want to do. It's like, I'll probably like figure that out, and she like gets to make her own decisions on whatever she wants to do. But you get a letter from Kodayuki before like they hang out. It is like implied that they've been sending letters back and forth while he's out traveling and trying to experience the world. And it basically just talks about how he's like, yeah, I went to the convenience store to get this. It's really like, it's like I'm in a nice place. It's really nice there. I miss Ebisugaka. Hope everything's well. This is what I'm doing. And so he's like talking about he was at this convenience store, and he's like, it was really funny. Like a grown man in a suit at a convenience store eating this thing surrounded by like kids. So he's like, he went to this convenience store, got a thing that like kids usually eat. And, like, a bunch of kids were there, and they, like, were asking him, like, what are you doing? Like, he's, like, he looks out of place. And so then he, like, tells them that he's never had that before, and they get so excited because they get to tell him all the different kinds of ways that you can eat it and stuff. And so he's just, like, getting swarmed by all these kids. And he said it was, like, a little bit embarrassing, but it kind of healed something as, like, in me that, like, my child part of me. And it's, like, because he said, like, I never got to have this as a kid. Because he, like, basically was robbed of his childhood, so he's trying to, like, relive parts of his life that he never got. And it's very sweet, and it basically ends with, like, yeah, one day, like, we'll reevaluate, like, our relationship kind of thing, where it's, like, they're still talking and hanging out and actually getting to know each other for real, kind of, without being influenced by anything. And it's, like, that's, like, the first time that they, like, you know, courted each other, I guess, was like through letters over like a year. So it's like they're doing that again, but like as themselves, and it's just very sweet. I don't know. I really like that ending a lot.
I thought you were about to be like,
cute.
and that convenience store was in a town called Silent Hill.
No, thank God. I feel like that would be so goofy. Yeah, no. It's just some place. But yeah, I just got that yesterday, and I loved it a lot. I think it ended really well. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, I think it felt like a Silent Hill game to me. And I feel like we don't really get a good ending in Silent Hill, like, ever. Right.
Which is why, hearing this, I'm like, oh, damn, that was like a mildly happy ending, considering everything that happened.
Mm-hmm. Which I don't mind. I'm like, man, she went through a lot. Oh, God.
So what was the doll again? What is the purpose of the doll?
The doll is basically like a kind of like an effigy for one of the gods, like the tree god. So
it is literally just the doll is, while you're in that fox world, the doll is the tree representative that's like, don't marry that guy, he's a dick. And that's the only way it can get into that world, is what you were saying. Okay, all right.
Yeah, so it's basically, using that, and then eventually near the end of the game, it comes out into like the real world, because it's like, you know, basically, it's been taken over fully, and now it's there. And it also, like, before, it's like, yeah, don't trust the fox, don't trust the fox. And then at the end, it starts to, like, threaten her. Like, in the true ending, when you're going through that part, it's just straight up threatening her. It's like, if you do this, I'll, like, curse you. Like, I won't let you do this, whatever. And he's, like, obviously, like, super desperate, because she's, like, picking a side, kind of. And so, yeah. So, basically, yeah, the good ending is kind of good, because without, like, anyone being, like, possessed by things, they kill both of them. So neither of them win. They both get, I don't know if they, I guess it's not really implied if they actually die. I don't really know, but whatever.
And so like the town is fine in theory at the end when she defeats both of them?
Yeah, the town in theory is fine. They don't have any like post-credits ending that's like, things are really bad over here. It seems like chill. The only like thing is just her talking to herself. It's like her inner self is at peace now. Like she's basically unpacked a lot of her trauma and figured it out, and is moving on as like an adult person without losing who she is, but also accepting that she's growing up. Like it's both. Like she's growing up with holding on to like her past. I also didn't talk about this. For Silent Hill F, before it came out, Konami flew me to LA to Anime Expo to go to their booth and like check it out. And I got to talk to Raikishi 7 and Akira Yamaoka. when I talked to them, Raikishi7 said that this game was like his magnum opus. The best thing he's ever created. Might be the best thing he'll ever create, kind of thing. Like, this was his baby. He was so proud of it. There was multiple times in that game where I'm like, that man looked me dead in the eyes and was talking about how proud he was of this game. And with the biggest smile on his face. He's the bubbliest man I've ever met in my life. Literally the sweetest, bubbliest man. And I'm like, you are a freak. It's like Junji Ito, where like the sweetest, smiliest guys, demons. Have demonic, demon, horrible stab you in the heart multiple times. This is sad vibes.
I have to imagine it's like the sweetest, nicest guy has, when you think about like their worst, like, oh, it's so gross they come up with these things. I have to imagine it's because they're so sweet they're afraid of them and they're like, what scares me? Oh, this. That'll be the focus of the next thing I do because I'm so scared of it. I've got to like exercise this in the form of art.
Honestly, yeah, that would make sense.
Or they're just secretly like crazy. Genuinely insane psycho killers. One of the two. Yeah, you know.
One of the two.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah, you know.
I can viscerally tell online the kind of person someone is with how they react to this game.
Sure. Oh, yeah. There was also, even for us as we were playing, there was a moment where one of the people I was playing with was like, I wish we had a woman in the room with us. Because I feel like we would understand and learn a whole lot more about what this game is trying to say compared to three dudes in a room being like, how do we figure, what do you think this is about? You know, like that kind of thing. Because it very clearly was like, we are trying to tell a story and we're trying to do it from a young woman in 1960 Japan's perspective.
I feel like that's one of those things that like I'm a woman. I connect with a lot of it. It hit pretty home for a lot of that stuff. Like it hit pretty deep. Like a lot of like even like familial traumas and dynamics and stuff, like even if it didn't like necessarily like completely mesh with like my life, I'm like, yeah, no, that's like, I feel that, I understand those vibes. And just like another thing of like everyone just pushing like a romantic like relationship on her with like shoe. It's like, oh, you hang out with this guy, you must like be in love with him because like that's always the way it is. All that kind of stuff is crazy. But also like all those themes of like, you know, feminist themes, but also how, especially by the like the true ending, like anti like patriarchy, and not in just like a we hate men, but like no, the patriarchy is just literally bad for like everybody kind of thing. Like her dad talking about like, I was raised to like showing emotion made me weak, making my kids fear me was what made me a good dad and like a man and strong, and I was wrong and that sucked, and I like, you know, I fucked up my kids, I fucked up my life by having these thoughts and stuff. And it's just like really deep rooted stuff, and I'm like, damn, it's like I respect that like a man wrote these very anti-patriarchal and feminist themes that like I feel came across well. Like it's very impressive to me. I was like, damn, like he did a great job, I think. And I feel like I just feel so proud. I was like, damn, he was so excited about this, and he stuck the landing for me anyways, so hell yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that the relationship at the end is one where they go off, they do their own thing, and there's nothing there that says, you know, especially for the man at the end, like, hey, your worth as a dude is like, did you get the girl? And he's like, no, I went off and I had candy that I'd never had before, and little kids were telling me about it. And that was a pretty good day. And I think that's a thing as well, which is, you know, there's a lot in here, which is like, hey, man, you don't, just because, like, you're not married right now doesn't mean you're like a crappy guy. Go live your life, experience things. And, you know, you can write this girl who's doing the exact same thing, and it's totally chill. Like, it's fine.
It came across earlier to me that I'm like, I don't think he's at fault for this. I think he's also stuck here kind of thing. And he was. So, like, I remember, like, at the true ending, I remember just sitting there in my chair, like, Kodayuki was a good boy! I knew it! I knew he was a good boy!
Yeah, I would have to imagine that Shu as well was being manipulated and used. And he, you know, while his thing is a totally different vibe.
Yeah.
It is the idea of him as a person, while he has a little more like backwards ideas of what your relationship is, he's still being manipulated by this other deity to like mess with you. Is that kind of what's going on?
That I don't know.
Because he gives you like the weird pill Like, I don't know. I mean, like, it's a weird thing for just this kid to be like, hey, man, I got these pills for you. Like, that's bizarre.
So, yeah, he gives you, it's like White Claudia. It's special, very rare, but it grows in Ebizagauca, and it grows also near water in Silent Hill also, right? So there's a journal entries from like a physician, like a physician's log that you get throughout the game and throughout the playthroughs. And in the final one, it's told to you that it's Shu. And it's basically his experimentations with this medicine. So he's taking it himself. And he like was taking it and he's like, you're supposed to connect to your inner self. And then eventually he does. He's like, one night, like I had a dream and I talked to myself and it's like, I think it's like it gave him like some clarity or whatever the hell. And so he's like, to him, he's like, I want to give this to Hinako so she can like, connect with her inner self and like find out what like she really wants or whatever, right?
Gotcha. Okay, so it's not he's being used. He genuinely thinks he's doing the right thing.
Yeah, he's definitely, I think it's one of those things where he's like genuinely cares about her and wants to help her, but is also like, has like feels some type of way about her, and is like kind of trying to stop what she's doing.
I mean, it could be good old fashioned friend zone vibes where he feels like, I love you. Why don't you love me? If I can give you this pill that lets you talk to yourself, maybe you can convince yourself that you love me as much as I love you. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's very, very wild journey. I thought it was great. Some people think the true ending is like a cop-out, and I think it's because it's like happy. One of the biggest themes of the true ending is I don't care, even if I suffer, as long as I've made that choice. So it's like, you don't know what's going to happen to her. She could do anything. Things could be good for her, things could be bad for her, but it's on her terms. So it's just like, it's very open-ended, which I think is cool, because I think the whole thing is just basically about her getting over that hurdle of like, growing up.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of like really great Silent Hill thingies happening in this. When it comes to like monster design, I love the idea that all the women are doll-like creatures. And there's a line somewhere in the game. It might be said out loud, or maybe it's like in a note. But the idea that she views all the men in town very much like her father. So when her father's the big guy who shows up at the end that you have to fight throughout the town, eventually you'll come across big guys every once in a while. And I was like, oh, that's her interpretation of all the men in town. Like that kind of Silent Hill thing where each monster represents something. I was like, perfect. Love it. I'm really curious what those connectors will be as we move forward in like, because I guess we have the next Silent Hill thing coming out next year already.
That's Townfall, right? It's coming out?
Yeah. I think they said March.
Yeah. Oh God, that's soon. Okay, very cool. So yeah, the game is very cool. I think they did a really good job doing a lot of stuff, and it took me like a few hours to warm up to it at first, but I feel like as someone who ebbed and flowed and like, God, I don't want to have to do another playthrough of this. Like, I just want to play other things on stream. This took so long kind of thing. Now that I'm like fully done, it was worth it. 100%. I think I really enjoyed the whole journey. I think it wrapped up real nice. To me, I really loved it a lot. I would recommend going through it even just for like the visuals, because like I was like telling my partner about like the final fight, and he's like, that sounds sick. And so I showed him. He's like, that was cool. I'm like, yeah, it was really cool.
It's fascinating, because in the last video that we uploaded, every comment is like, you are 1/8 of the way done. Keep playing. You're missing everything. Go. And I was like, okay, we need to have an Ashley moment, because it's like, I don't know that I have the time to do that.
Oh,
but I am so curious and very excited about what this game is. And so having you here telling me just feels good. I'm so happy. Yes.
I condensed so many hours of gameplay into this.
Thank you.
I'm sure stuff that I missed, because this game, literally, there's so much going on, but I think I got the gist of it.
Did you do the I know it's a Silent Hill game, so I assume there's a UFO ending.
There is. I did not, because I was planning on doing it yesterday. Took a little longer than I expected to finish out the true ending. And then I was just having a time. I'm like, I just need to go sit and process this. I can't do the UFO ending right now. Because another thing about this game is the freaking ending credits song makes me cry every time a guitar solo happens. It doesn't. There is nothing. I will be fine. I'm like, man, I feel emotional. That'd be fine. And then the guitar solo hits, and I just start bawling myself. It's just so good. Oh my God, it's great. It's so good. And literally, this is almost embarrassing, but I wanted to go for a run yesterday after stream anyways. And I was like full of so much energy after beating that. And I'm like, that was awesome. I had such a great time. I went to run and I ran on my treadmill, just listening to the ending theme song over and over again. And every single time there's 2 guitar solos in it, I would cry every time. And then I would get over it and I would cry again, running on my treadmill, but crying, running.
Part of me
crying.
desperately wishes you had run outside. And it was you running down the streets with
wish.
tears
That's so funny.
pouring from your eyes. Like, just running from the sadness, just trying to get away.
Oh, that would have been so funny. The UFO ending, I'm sure, is fun. It really doesn't matter plot-wise.
Yeah, I think you just have to find 3 posters, and then that's it.
Yeah, you have to, like, something about radios, and then some posters, and then it, like, activates. You can do it, like, really fast. And I'm just sure it has something to do with the Space Wars thing with Shield.
Always does. Yeah. Which, honestly, would be fun. Yeah. I think it'd be cute. If
I'm sure it would be so cute.
But
I'm probably gonna go for it at some point. But my God, I needed to take a sec, and I feel like something like people were asking me immediately yesterday, like where this game sits on my like tier list, and I can't answer because I'm like I think it's too fresh. I'm scared that I'll like rate it higher than I really want to because I'm like I really loved that. I had a great time. I really got to sit on it because it was great. It was a fantastic journey. Like the way that I felt in that ending, there is like a clip of me because the like main menu changes when you finish the game, and like it changes and like and when you do the true ending, the main menu changes again. And someone said that in my chat. It's like make sure you go look at the main menu, and I'm like, oh my God. If it's the 2 versions of Hinako sitting on that gate overlooking the town, I'm going to throw up. And I went to the main menu. Wait, is the main menu? Oh my God, if the main menu is just like them sitting on the thing, or is it just like where they were sitting overlooking everything, I'm going to fucking throw up. Fuck! Ah! Ah! I'm fine. And I just scream and then scream again, and then I put my head in my hands. And I showed my boyfriend. He's like, I don't think I've seen you viscerally react to something like that before. It was just so good. I'm like, if it's perfect, I'm gonna throw up. And I'm like, and that's like, it just felt like that was like the cherry on top, just like wrapped it in a bow, and that was the game, and it was beautiful, and it was so good. Oh God, what a beautiful game.
I think that's the best place to leave it. Ashley Roboto, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me about this. I learned everything I wanted to know. I'm so happy.
Yay! Oh my God, thank you for having me. I was so excited when you messaged me because I'm like, oh, that's so great. I'm literally finishing it for the final time, like in the next week. Let's go! Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Oh, it was, yeah. I'm also very glad that I loved the final ending as much as I did, or else this would have been a very different episode. Thank you for letting me, once again, yap about a hyperfixation.